That's
We can still
Okay.
talk about how
And we're
Mourinho has to rely
live.
on Kane doing. Oh, we're live. Oh,
Welcome.
shit.
We are live.
Welcome to the first 11. This is Grounded Football, first ever episode. We've got Jem, Danny, RDS, Red Devil Studios. This will be a weekly program, weekly podcast, which I'm really looking forward to. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, as Jem knows. We were going to start with other topics, but apparently we're going to do a little bit on Jose Mourinho. So, Danny, why don't you start? What did you want to say about Mourinho?
Not so much. You know what it is? So Tottenham they're drawn against Fulham. I'm lagging, so I don't know what the final result. I imagine the final results, it may have happened already. But if they draw this game, and this will segue into other topics, I guess, there'll probably be a massive overreaction to this. But like this, for me, was to be expected. If Kane or Son don't score or have a match-winning performance, Tottenham aren't likely to win their chances of winning a football match are slim, very, very slim. Mourinho, he just seems to he's at a point of his career now where he just relies on players who can do it themselves. Like, he'll give you the mentality that you want. You know, I've been watching a Tottenham documentary, which is fascinating, by the way. I actually like Mourinho now. He's not a Man United manager. The way he communicates with his players, he's saying he's saying Tottenham players were nice guys. He wanted them to be nasty cunts. I was watching a Son interview a week ago, and Son literally, like a robot, was repeating Mourinho's mantra in an interview, and I'm like, he's got through to them. But at the same time, like, I don't understand how this man just keeps doing the same thing over and over again and expects different results. Like, you go 1-0 up, sit back, see what happens, try and hit on the counter. Like, every single game. And as a United fan, and if you don't know, I'm a Manchester United fan, don't ever compare Tottenham's counter-attack to Manchester United's. Don't ever compare the two. We do not just put 11 men in the box for the sake of it and just concede a low block. You have to work Man United into a low block.
finished.
You have to work and keep the ball and keep us in a low block. We prefer to have a platform from the edge of our box. That's where our back four will be. So we can push up in the mid block and counter-attack from there. It's not the same thing.
Okay.
So, like, and it frustrates me because at the start of the season, Mourinho was getting credit for Tottenham's counter-attack. I'm like, hold on a second. Ollie's been doing this with United for over a year. He can't get no credit for nothing.
Exactly.
For nothing. For absolute nothing. So, yeah, I just think Mourinho, I can't wait to see what he says after this game. I mean, Jem's a Chelsea fan. He's used to Mourinho and his antics and his stubbornness. And he doesn't change. He'll pick the same 11. He's got favourite players. It's just...
Well, before the start of the game, he was cussing Scott Parker, wasn't he? Because of Scott Parker's complaining about the fixture being changed to today, I think it was, and he was dissing him. Well, he's probably now regretting those comments, isn't he? So,
Yeah. I mean, there's not much for me. There's not much more to say about it. I think Danny hit the nail on the head. Really, for me, he only has one set style, and when at Spurs, we know heavily that they rely on Son and Kane, and if they're not banging in the goals, where do they come from? Lo Celso's not performing, and Ndombele scores once in a blue moon. They don't get any goals from the back because they don't score many.
Bergwijn's been missing sitters like Werner.
Bergwijn's been missing sitters. Who else have they got? They've got Gareth Bale, who is the biggest fraud of a footballer at the moment. That's come over here. He's not even playing at the moment. Yeah, it's not even like, you know, he should be there.
That's cheap, Jem. That injury list. That injury list is like 3 pages long.
Do you know what? Do you know what's crazy though? Like, how does Gareth Bale get away with not being a talking point on Sky Sports News every single morning?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he's at Spurs. That's why.
Yeah, I could say other things, but
I think he's
British.
You know, because the way people try to champion this guy over Ryan Giggs, like, look at this guy. He's gone to Madrid. He's conquered this. He's conquered that. Man decides to basically live on a golf course for the last 3 years. No criticism. Comes back. People are mocking, oh, United dropped the ball. Tottenham got Bale. They've had a good summer window. It's like, okay. Well, in January now, has he kicked the ball?
Yeah.
Has he kicked the ball? Barely.
No, he hasn't.
Everyone said Cavani was done coming to Manchester United. Well,
panic buy, apparently.
Panic buy. Well,
signing a player.
It wasn't Cavani. It was the way it was done.
It's the way it was done.
Yeah. But you
if
can't.
United had gone in and signed Cavani from the start of the season, from the start of pre-season, which they could have, it would have been lauded a lot more. You know what I mean? But it's just the way they've done it, and then they presented the number 7 shirt. It's like, come on, like we know this wasn't your plan
Your
at the
original
start.
plan.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going
I'm,
back
I'm,
to,
just, I'm just being salty. Like, I want to
Yeah.
see Gareth Bale getting hated on the way Man United players do. That's all.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
going back to Spurs really quickly. One of the other things that is quite clear, and I've said it before, when Toby's not in that team, they're defensively a shambles. Eric Dyer is not good enough to be playing for Spurs in my eyes. If they're a top club, he's just not good enough. He shouldn't be in that team. Sanchez, he's a flop. What's he got?
He
A
is
bit
a
of
flop.
pace.
He
He's
is
a
a
flop. So for me, the system that he plays is for me just hiding the frailties that they have within their squad. Because if they opened up, they would get found out.
You know what? You just triggered something in me, actually. You said before Mourinho, like, in fact, Mourinho, he's very, very, like, we know he prefers to be negative, but, like, I've seen him play offensive style football. When he won the title with Madrid, like, listen, the attacking football they were playing was sick. I think they hit 100 points, set a new certain record for amount of goals scored in one La Liga season. Went toe to toe with Barcelona, beat them in El Clasico, playing progressive football. There was a particular season at Chelsea, I want to say his second season, where it was more expansive than the first. Damien Duff looked world class for a season. So he can do it. He just, elects not. If he doesn't, basically, it tells you he doesn't have faith in that group completely.
He hasn't exactly. That defense is just not good enough. And I said it, without Toby, it is a shambles. And for me, the whole Højbjerg signing was to protect that even more so.
That was a great signing, though.
It was a great
signing.
Yeah, Indiana though, like he's like Højbjerg's like, KJ's got that thing for Maxim from Newcastle. Oh, Indiana's gone. Like a month ago, Indiana was saying Højbjerg signing of the season. I know he doesn't believe that now, but like he's a massive fan of Højbjerg.
I feel what you're seeing with Jose Mourinho is what Arteta was doing, trying to cover the frailties of a lot of the squad. The only difference is they had a Harry Kane who's on fire and a Son. That's the only difference.
Yep. That is it.
No,
and it's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. You cannot rely on two players that are number one injury prone, will pick up injuries because you either number one run them out, literally because you play them every single game. Do you know what I mean?
Indiana's
two,
back.
not on the pitch.
Is he frozen?
Son looks scattered today.
It's not even my internet. It's my StreamYard. I get it all the time, man.
Or is it just me that thinks that? He looks shattered, man. It's like he's
Who looks shattered?
Son.
Oh, Son. Yeah, Son and Kane will be.
Potentially.
This is the time. Yeah. This is the time
Before
when you start
came
seeing
on
the decline.
Oh, sorry, Jim. Before you came on, Kesh, I was saying people shouldn't compare the way United counter-attack to Tottenham. Like, we counter-attack in two totally. Like, they literally will concede a low block, go as deep as possible. You have to force United into that. So the legwork Kane and Son have. Kane has to bounce off one player, drop the shoulder on another, then release a ball. When United counter, it's two direct passes we're in. It's completely different. Before you went off stream, Indiana, I was going to ask you, do you still think Højbjerg's like the signing of the season? Because I remember you saying that like a month ago.
I think he will be, yeah. Because I think they'll pick up a cup. I think they'll pick up a cup. And I still think they'll make top four.
Ahead of who?
Through the season, and this is Jose Mourinho, and I think he'd be a massive part of that.
I think
Ahead of Chelsea.
I think Leicester or Everton are going to get top four, to be honest.
Might well be. I wouldn't count Mourinho out. I wouldn't count him out. If Son and Kane stay fit, they got a chance.
That's a big if.
Yeah, it's a big if.
That is a big if.
Yeah, but
he keeps on dropping points.
But if Timo Werner can't start putting the ball in the net, I'm not putting them in the top four either.
Indiana, they can still be fit like they were today playing. But if they're dead because you play them every game and you're not getting them scoring goals, you're still having the same problem. Because there's no Mourinho's not. He doesn't change the style of play. He doesn't take Kane on and put Vinicius on and go like on a 4-3-3 and go for it. It's not his style of play.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like he's always saying.
The thing though is to be fair to Spurs fans, I think I mean from the Spurs fans that I know, I think they're more concerned this season about getting a trophy. So if they got the Carabao Cup and they finish outside the top 4-5, I don't think many fans give a crap because it's like we've got a trophy. We've got a trophy at the end of the day. Because for all that Pochettino did in the top four, there was nothing to show for it. Because the thing is, this is Mourinho's first season, and he's going to say he'll go to Levy. Okay, yeah, I think I got out of top 5, but I got Spurs trophy the first time in goodness knows how long. So back me, give me the players that I want. So I think they're thinking more of next season in the long run. If he wins the Carabao Cup against City, that for me is Spurs season over. Mission objective is done, and then next season the evidence will be from Levy to back him because he's won silverware, and then they'll go on.
He won't do that.
He won't do it though.
He won't do that.
Yeah.
I know he won't.
I think he wins a trophy. Will
you make an interesting point? Like you say, from the Spurs fans' perspective, they want that. I think Mourinho wants that so he can protect himself. He'll win that League Cup, and if he fails in the league, are they in the Europa League, Tottenham? I think they are.
Europa League.
And they don't need Europa League. He could be like, "Well, I delivered a trophy. This guy Poch you will love. 5 years, no trophy. Me, this is my how many? He'll say number. This is my 18th. He'll do something like that. He'll do his whole thing. This is my 18th.
That's a Jose persona as well. Imagine it.
I have a player. He'll be like, I have a player in what's his name? How do you pronounce that boy's name? Tungai. What's his name?
Yeah.
Tungai Dembele.
Tungai wasn't born when Tottenham won last. Like that's what he'll be saying.
Yeah,
that's what Mourinho will do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So,
let's get into the topics we actually came to talk about, because we've been going on Jose Mourinho way too long, and that's too much time for him for me. I ain't got that much time for Mourinho.
I was just warming up.
Yeah, I get it. I just he's not a Man United manager anymore, so I'm not really interested in what he does at a club like Spurs.
I enjoy him more now. He's not a Man United manager.
Yeah.
Honestly, watch anybody who's watching. Watch the Tottenham documentary. It's impossible not to like him when he's not your manager.
Yeah, I've seen it. So let's get into Jem's topic first. Expectations on price tags. So players that come in for 70, 80, 90 million. Do we have higher expectations on those players because of the price tag, or should we? And I'll start with you, Jem, because you're the one who wanted to bring this.
Yeah, so basically, not just that. Also, look, I feel like in terms of expectations, like there's a load of talent across Europe. Like let's start with Kai Havertz because he's a good example. He came over to Chelsea with a £70 million price tag, right? He's came over with this massive price tag and is expected to perform straight away because of his price tag. If he doesn't do that this season, he's then called a flop. But he's called a flop by us as fans and social media. Do we put the football club, in the same image in terms of them actually thinking that he's a flop as well? Or do you think by spending 70 million from their pockets is just to get him in because they know he's good and giving him like a 3-year, game to sort of get into it and run well? What are our expectations of players that get signed for this money, and do they deserve the criticism they basically get? That's what I'm trying to understand.
your football club should get, I think, the brunt of the criticism because you're spending those large sums on players, obviously to get them from obviously rivals, and they're not performing. I mean, like, you're right. Havertz, it's his first season, and Timo Werner, the German Shane Long, it's his first season as well. But you also, if I recall, spent 70+ million on Kepa for 2 seasons, and then you went and then go and spend another keeper. So Chelsea's record of I guess what I'm saying is that I think we need to, because the thing about Havertz and Werner is that it's not like these players were world-class players. These were potential players. These are players that potentially under the right coach could go up another level and were doing okay where they were in a different league. But because you spend so much on them, as well as your fans, you created this sort of hype that these players were somehow on the level of already established players, and so forth, and therefore expected to perform.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing I was trying to get at. 10 years ago, 70 or 80 million pounds would buy you a top world-class player in someone like Didier Drogba or Wayne Rooney, someone like that. It might be a little bit more, 90, 100 million,
or a flop from
but
South
you knew
America.
what you was getting. These players had a pedigree. You knew what you was getting with them. They were winners. Now you've got 70, 80 million price tag on players because of their age. that haven't won things, that have just been good, like Havertz has at Leverkusen and scored a number amount of goals in the last 2 seasons. Why is the expectation so high on them to come here and actually perform straight away when there's not that much proof in the pudding other than that they've got talent? That is it. In my
I
eyes.
think it depends how you look at it, Jam. So like, look, 80 million now is the equivalent of 30, 40 million
back then,
15 years ago, right? So immediately, as soon as you said that, you spoke about the world-class players. I thought of the Nielsen who went to Real Betis for like £35 million back in the day. Like I think it was like 2003 whenever it was big flop. I think about Man United spending 25 million on Karol Poborski. Big flop. These things happen in football. What I would say is, look, I've got to a point where I don't care about the pound amount anymore. When we're talking about the totality of a spend, like if you spend 250 million in a window, I don't really care. What I would say is I'd criticise Chelsea for spending £70 million on potential when that could have got you a proven striker. Since Frank Lampard doesn't think Werner's a striker, why did you spend £70 million on a 10?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I
mean, like Havertz might come good. He might come good because you know what it is. His temperament, his composure. He's a cultured football player at 20.
Yeah,
you get what I mean?
But that for me is the big thing that you like, bro. You touched it on the head, right? Is that like, because the thing is, we get bantered a lot of the time about spending 80 million on Harry Maguire, but the reality is that we actually needed a centre back. Whatever you think about Harry Maguire, there was a desperate need for a centre back. When I look at Chelsea, I'm like, and where you're playing Havertz and where you're playing Werner, you didn't actually need those players. And the irony is that some of the players that you have that are already there.
Someone's got a TV on in the background, man. It's really loud.
Was it me?
Not me.
It's really loud.
Not me.
Sorry.
Can you hear it still?
That's so rude, man.
Yeah. Now listen, do not call Timo Werner the German Shea Longbrev. I don't want to hear that ever again.
Funny.
I think Chelsea kind of just got carried away. They knew they were going to have a large sum of money. I don't think they actually done their due diligence to realize what sort of system Werner was playing in, and is it going to fit what we're trying to do? And it doesn't fit what Lampard wants to do. He wants to play 2 wingers and a striker, and I don't see Werner as this sort of striker who can come in and lead the line. Like, yes, he's a goal scorer. He can get on the top to the end of goals or opportunities, but if you watch his overall play, like his link-up play and everything, I haven't seen that as of yet. And to be a striker in the Premier League, you've got to have some of that about your game.
Back to goal.
Timo Werner's strengths.
Sorry, Jim, go on.
No, I was going to say, Timo Werner's strengths is movement and pace. He's a good example of someone that's got that. Is Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy's played up front. He's not the best of link style players, but he's good. He's good at getting at the end of a ball and putting it in the back of the net and using his pace. And people pick him. Look at Maddison. How many times does Maddison, when he gets the ball, picks Vardy out on the runs? I watched Timo a number of times this season make run, and he ends up going backwards and turning around because we do not find him. And that might just be because we need a bit of time to get it ticking and working. I don't know. But we're not playing to his strengths, is what I'm saying at the moment. For whatever
Can I just say, I like the point. I like Maddison's long passing is so underrated. That boy's ability to pass is so. I see why we were looking at him as an alternative to Bruno. What I would say is the difference between Werner and Vardy is Werner's not a fox in the box for me. He's not a fox in the box. Mm-hmm. He's not somebody who can like make 2-3 runs and really move a defense around. He's not someone that anticipates what's going to happen and will dash and attack a particular spot, get a tap in. Vardy's that type of striker. And that's the thing. We're in this era where everybody wants these fancy strikers who are just not. These people just aren't strikers. They're forwards. They're players who 15, 20 years ago would have had a partner because of the things that they lack in their game. I don't see Werner's not a lone striker. He's not a lone striker.
He's a link. He wasn't.
In Nagelsmann's system, when you play with a 3-4-3 and you're forward in that system, you can move around a lot.
Well, he had
got so much more freedom.
He had a Paulson that he could play.
The question is, why was he? It goes on like why, and this is why again I criticize the truth. Was like, why were these players signed when they didn't necessarily feel a need that Chelsea needed.
Well, I want to ask Jim a question because we've spoken about this before with Indiana. Two-part question. One, were the club irresponsible for spending all that money with an inexperienced manager? And if they were, does it prove they just signed these players because they actually don't care Frank Lampard fails to succeed because they'll just find someone who can make it work?
Yeah.
Like, how much? So I guess what I'm saying, Jem, is how much, looking at it now, would it seem like Lampard didn't have that much say over all of the signings that Chelsea made?
I think he had. I think he had a say in the Timo Werner deal. I do think that was something that was linked to him. I don't know about the Kai Havertz deal. With Kai Havertz, I think we overspent. I don't think we actually needed a Kai Havertz in the team. That's where I think we went wrong. Personally.
100 million.
But that's what makes me think somebody over Frank Lampard's head was like, you have to get this guy now.
I think it's a mix, Danny. I think it's a mix. I think he's got some of the players he wanted, and they've thrown in players that he didn't want, and said, "There's your players. Get on with it." And
I think he wanted Werner though.
You wanted Werner.
He wanted Werner,
and to play that role.
I don't think that's why you signed a Havertz and a Ziyech. I feel they both can play in a 10. And I feel Ziyech being, I know he comes inside and everything, but I feel like he offers more if he's playing in the centre. I feel Chelsea just looked at what he'd done over the last season in the Champions League and saw that he was playing off the right and coming in and thought, impressive. But didn't actually realise that his best position is actually playing in the 10 role. So it's just players.
I think, and not just that.
I think Chelsea scouting network is much better than that. I think they knew everything they needed to know about the Ziyech. Because look, Chelsea got how many players on loan right now, Jem? About 40, 50. They got connections everywhere, scouts everywhere. I think they knew who he was. That's why I'm just like the biggest portion of your budget went to a luxury player. Like, why wouldn't you get a striker for 70 million? When you don't have a flush,
because I think they looked at Werner as that player who could play across the front three, because he did it off Poulsen so many times. He didn't always lead the line, Werner. That's not what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've got Giroud and they've got Tammy Abraham, and I think they've seen the priority as a player who can come in and cover for Pulisic. Because the guy's always injured. They know that's a big problem. Werner was supposed to be the player that could come in and play anywhere across that front line.
Okay.
But this is a very different league. This is a different league. It takes time to adjust. And like you, Danny, I question whether he can be that fox in the box. I question whether he's got those instincts. So
he hasn't.
What I think happened.
It's the same with Martial. We spent 50 mil on him as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's another story. We'll come to that another day. But in terms of the money spent, I think because we got Champions League for us last season, I feel like they've just rewarded him and said, "There you go, here's the money. You can have your players, but we're still going to have a say in certain individuals that we've wanted that we've been targeting or scouting for the last 2 seasons who we think will be good for this club." That's what I think's happened.
I feel the other signing is a promising signing. I feel you lost your star boy in Hazard, and you feel that you needed to get another one in. And out of all the players you signed, he's rated to have the highest ceiling. He's meant to be the generational talent. He's meant to be the guy that's going to be doing the next big thing over the next 10 years. So they've looked at it and thought, let us get him in before other teams, because he had the likes of Liverpool being linked with him. Obviously, Liverpool was more saying like maybe next summer. So they thought, you know what, let's steal ahead of everyone else and get him in as soon as. And that's what you've done. But I don't feel he suits you lot system. I don't think he's this natural number 10. Like, whenever I've watched him over the last few seasons, he's always played off the wing or he's played as a second striker, and he seems like he's done his best numbers as a second striker.
You know what I find interesting? You know, when we praise Leicester, like teams like Wolves, for getting certain players. Like, why didn't the big clubs go in? Well, for certain players of a certain age. Well, this is why. Because clubs every now and again they realise, you have to let them go to a Leicester or let them go to a Wolves first or a Leicester first, or don't just go and get them early because they won't actually be ready to deliver. To Jem's questions, that the price tag now is a burden on the player. the price tag is now hindering.
Yeah,
It's going to hinder him to a degree. A bit like Pepe, Kesh is an Arsenal fan.
yeah.
Big price tag. He's never going to live up to it. Pepe isn't, because Pepe is like 25.
26.
26, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Also, you look
So what I would say, Jim, is at what point do you just ignore the price tag and just look at the other details?
But we
the
don't
system.
as fans. That's the problem. As fans, we don't. And if it doesn't matter if it's own fans or rival fans, we always find it's just an excuse to use, and it's a shame because it's not his fault he's been valued at that. It's not his fault that he was playing as well as he was at Leverkusen, and they've decided to buy him at 70 mil. Do you know what I mean? And now he's got to perform to these levels that he might not be. He might not be in the long run.
To be fair, though,
Do you get what I mean?
we weren't saying this at the start of the season, though. This is the thing. Like, I get that argument, but during the transfer window, no one's like, "Oh, you shouldn't really spend 80 million on Kai Havertz. You shouldn't really spend 60 million on Timo Werner." Most fans are like, get that player, spend whatever it is, get that player.
Yeah,
I
but
agree.
but fans will watch a football comp and tell you to buy a player. Like,
No, I know. I'm just saying that it's easy on if Werner and Havertz performed, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We're only having this conversation because they have not performed.
No,
so
but
before that,
but then again, I can't really say we have to look at it from the club's point of view. When do we start then making these players accountable? Because you're the one the club speaking to you, the club saying this is what they believe in you, and you obviously believe in yourself as well. So you're gonna come on board now, and then we're just going to say, okay, no, it's our fault. We spent. It's like if you go to a shop and you spend. There's two products that's the same thing, but one's poor quality. You can only blame yourself for buying it, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what I'd say, Kesh? I think we talk about players having accountability. I think a player can have expectations of a club that buys him as well. Mm-hmm. Like, so you invested all this money in me. I'd assume you know what my best position is. I assume you have a plan to bed me in and get the best out of me. Mm-hmm. Because Havertz seems to me like a one pace player. Yeah, like he's somebody who needs to. He's like someone you have to build around. He's not someone you just throw in. There has to be a clear, concise plan about how you're going to use this boy. And maybe Frank Lampard's the problem. Maybe Frank Lampard's the problem. I don't know. I don't know.
I do believe Frank Lampard is the problem when it comes to
the reason I mentioned money, and this is why we was going back to price tags, is that look at Diogo Jota, right? How much did Liverpool get him for? What was it, 30 million, 40 million? I can't even remember.
35, I think.
35 million.
All right, cool. 35 million, which is cheap, yeah. But we all know that guy can score goals. I've seen that guy score hat-tricks for Wolves, yeah. But the expectation's not there on him because of his price tag. Why? We already know he can do the job. We've seen it in the Premier League. It's proven. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got someone like Kai Havertz who's been 70 million. All right, he scored some good goals in Bayer because and he should needs to come in and do that because he's 70 million. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think he was brought in to just. I don't think he was brought in to supersede like Firmino, Salah, and Mane. Though that's the only difference. So everyone with the Jota thing it's a solid signing, but it's more like a squad signing. Whereas Havertz and Timo Werner were bought not to sort of as squad players, but like these are the players that we're going to bring in. They're going to challenge for the Champions League.
They're going to elevate.
They're going to elevate.
They're going to take Chelsea to a new level.
Take Chelsea to the next level. So I don't think people.
This is why Chelsea fans need to take a lot of the blame, though. For
that's what I'm saying.
Because start of the season, they were saying this player's this player's that, without actually waiting to see what they're actually going to produce.
Yeah, maybe, bro. I mean, it's still early. Let's see what happens.
You know what I'd say, Jem?
Let's see what happens.
Like, another problem is the Bundesliga purposely market their players a particular way. So, like, they love this idea. Our best players get exported to the Premier League and can conquer the Premier League. So that adds to the hype. Big signing. This guy's gonna deliver. Blah blah. It's always been that way. But you know how you like shut that all up. You shut that up by winning. Keita cost the same amount, and how much did Keita cost? 62 mil or something like that for Liverpool.
Something like that, yeah.
No one talks about him because Liverpool are winning.
And you know what the German clubs are very clever at doing as well?
And they do it. And he's not German. He's not from a big European nation.
If you remember, when Havertz was spoken about going to Chelsea, there was also the talks of Sancho, and then it was about who was going to fall at first. Was it Leverkusen? Was it Dortmund? Who was going to drop their price tag? None of them did. None of them did. Why? Because that's their prize players. They didn't want to drop the price tags on them because they believed truly that they could get that money from us. You know what I mean? And it was just that's what they do. They overinflate their players. You know, I'm not saying Sancho's not £100 million player because I think he's a good player. But he's got potential to go to Man United or wherever and flop.
Nah, he'll fit in.
Sorry,
he
has.
He'll be fine. Nah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yeah, there's always that opportunity. There's always that opportunity, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? You just don't know. You know, so
no, but I don't think
what it is.
I don't think there'd be a system problem with Sancho. Like he'll play on the wing. It's cool.
He goes right into that right wing, doesn't he?
And Bruno first season came.
You have to sell Martial though.
Lost it.
Listen, don't get me started, Jem. Don't get me started.
You have to sell Martial, mate. Get rid of him. Dump him.
See Indiana holding back.
Oh dear. Indiana keeps cutting out. I don't even know if he's here. If he wants to move on to topic, what are we going to do, Indiana? We're just talking.
Off topic. Bayern are out of their cup, so no treble for Bayern this year.
They're greedy bastards anyway.
Yeah. So no back-to-back trebles.
Indiana, man, you're moving so laggy, bro.
Yeah, he's like stop motion.
I think he's trying to talk, and he's like, it's not coming out.
Indiana, you might be better off just going on your phone, you know, and getting off the laptop.
Yeah. Indiana, man, I think you should go on your phone.
Go on your phone, bro. Go on your phone. What was the next topic, anyway? Who's
next topic we were going to talk about being backed.
Managers being backed.
What does being backed looks like?
Let's do that.
Oh, Prime's been in the background for a minute, you know. Indiana's just
so what we're talking about?
Dipped. Well, this is the thing.
Managers being backed.
Yeah, you know what? Let's start with I'm gonna bring up Tottenham, right? Because we've got some Tottenham fans in our group, Jem, right? One in particular who hates the fact that what's his name? Joe Enoch, I believe his name. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Who owns Spurs? Yeah. Doesn't put his personal money into the football club. And I'm someone that I don't know. I just feel like people are entitled. Like you're telling an owner, "Yo, put your personal money in here," and I'm just like, I don't understand why a football fan. I don't know. I just feel weird hearing someone tell someone else to put their own personal money into the club when the club actually has a good financial model.
I think you have to have some evidence to be backed, if that makes any sense, which is why almost going around why the Chelsea situation was quite fascinating, because out of all the managers this season, no one has been backed as heavily as Frank Lampard has been backed.
Oh, we're talking about being backed now. Okay.
Yeah, we are talking about. Yeah, the manager's being backed.
Yeah, I never read that.
I thought you were talking about. Sorry, I saw the thing coming up, and you're talking about Spurs, and I was like, moving on. Sorry, my bad.
No, it's cool. I should read more. That's what I should do.
Can you hear me all right? Am I still lagging?
Yeah,
much better,
now.
Yeah, no,
much
you're
better,
back now. Yeah,
that's much better, man.
All that money spent on that setup, Indiana.
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's StreamYard. It does it to me all the time. Whether it's Wi-Fi, phone data, just wherever I am, I could be at home, could be at the office. It just does it, man. But yeah, no, apologies. Managers being backed.
It's all right, bro.
That?
Yeah.
So
yeah, no.
What does being backed actually mean? Danny, this is one that you brought in.
Well, I'll give you an example.
You wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so I went off on something else because I was talking about expectations of fans on owners. But in terms of, listen, very, very simple. If you're a football fan, you look at your team, you know what your team needs, right? If your football club don't deliver what your team needs, the manager wasn't backed. If they don't deliver the players that you need, the manager wasn't backed. It's very, very simple. It's not difficult. And what I see fans doing is, depending on whether or not they like the manager, moving the goalposts and switching the definition of being super clever with what being backed means.
Arsenal
because it suits another agenda. Like, it's very, very simple. If you need a centre back, you didn't get a centre back, and the manager got a right back. The manager went back. I don't care if the manager comes in a press conference and says he's happy with the squad. What else is he going to say? Unless he's Mourinho or Conte, who cries every 3 months about not getting players. That's what they're going to say. So for me, being back is very, very simple. What does the team need is very... Sometimes it can be ambiguous, but in other cases, it's so flipping obvious. Like, I think Red Devil Studio was going to allude to it before. Chelsea needed a goalkeeper. They got one. Needed a centre-back. They did a stopgap signing, got Thiago, just to give themselves some time. Needed wingers. They got some wingers. Like, that's being backed. That's being backed. And me as a Man United fan, I'm like, okay, we needed a right winger, a defensive midfielder, and a centre-back. We didn't get any of those things. And you want to tell me, Ollie's been backed. You're a double agent for the Glazers. You're a double agent.
No, he didn't.
Like, don't let them off the hook that way.
Yeah. What is it I say, Danny? If you're Ollie out, your Glazers in.
But
Because
for me, that's what being backed is. Like,
Yeah.
very clear for me.
Also, for me, I think you have to have transparency because obviously, as us fans, we've got expectations. Like, for me, I'm an Arsenal supporter, so I expect us. I can't. Obviously, you ain't got no divine right to win the league, but being the club that we are or was, I expect us to be challenging the bigger teams, and we don't do that. So that's my expectation, to be chasing for top four and the title. But now, if you don't provide, as you said, Danny, the players that is needed, you're not addressing those key signings that the club needs, then you need to come and give transparency to where the squad that you currently have can reach. And for me, Arsenal can't reach top four with the squad. So you, the owner, need to come out and say, this is what it is. We've got this medium goal to long-term goal, and this is how we're going to reach it. Like, I think it was the Madrid.
It's weird though, mate, because I didn't get that impression watching the "It's Party Time" like
Yeah, but that's-
video.
no,
Like,
I get
it's
it.
party time. It's party. You know, I
get
just didn't
it.
get
I
that
get it.
impression. You know, I just
It's
didn't
not-
get it. You know,
But obviously you're on social media though, so you see a lot of it, but it's not the fan base as a whole. It's just certain people who they try to add their feelings of how this club's being managed just to save face and not get the banner and all that and make it seem like everything's all rosy, but it's not all rosy at Arsenal. I remember the Madrid president coming out and saying, listen, we won the league last year, but we might not even win it this year. We're not going to spend next year. I promise you, we're going to get Galacticos. That's transparency for me. Your fans then know what to expect. So when you don't put that transparency out there and you leave the manager out to dry, and then you got, as Danny said, fans who are saying, yes, the manager got back. They tried to be smart with their words and everything because they don't like the manager. I see it a lot in Arsenal fan base.
Can I add
what do you
something to it?
expect though, Kesh? What are you
Oh,
expecting from? Sorry, I just want to ask, like, because I'm not an Arsenal fan, luckily, but what do you expect? Like, and do you have a right to expect things from a board and owners?
Listen, I expect us to spend more than the likes of Villa. Over a 2 year period, we should be spending more than the likes of Aston Villa. And we don't do that.
Okay.
We don't do that. And then, listen, we knew that we needed more than one centre mid. We knew that. And it's not even just from the last two managers. We've known that we needed 6 to 7 players, even under Wenger. Yeah? What you then get is, this season now, you've got a rookie manager coming in. You're giving them players. You gave him 2 players. One of them have barely played. But he's then coming in and relying on players that's let previous managers down already. How do you expect then the situation to then change if you continue seeing it fail before? It's failed before, the year before, and the year before that. So what makes you think it's going to change now? Should you not give him the best tools to go and apply what you want to do and get better results?
you sign players though. You sign players though. That's the thing. You signed one of the players called Mari, as far as I'm aware, was signing. He wasn't being played. Saliba wasn't being played. I take your point on Partey as well. You did sign Willian as well. Obviously, Tierney, you didn't really have much of, but he's coming into the team. You've got Aubameyang on a new contract who was scoring tons of goals and obviously won you an FA Cup. So I'm not saying that like,
but the areas wasn't addressed. The areas wasn't addressed. It wasn't addressed. Like, so if you look at the Aubameyang signing and you look who was actually there to replace it, Aubameyang had to be signed or replaced. So it's not really the Aubameyang sign I'm looking at, but you look at the Xhaka in there, he's failed the club. We haven't been in the Champions League since Xhaka's been here. So you as a club should be looking at that and saying, well, it hasn't worked, so we need to refresh it now and get better players in there.
Okay,
He wanted our, which is obviously he wanted our, and a Partey. They
We
only
had a-
got him one.
okay, so you only, but the essential I'm saying is like I'm trying to put Arsenal in the concept of the league. Like you only essentially named 2 positions out of a squad of 11 that needed to be, despite the fact that Arsenal did get signings. What other team in the Premier League? This is my point. Like gets, or any manager says, right, okay, 2 positions
I can tell you.
we don't have. Like United, we've said 2 or 3. We need a CDM, we need a CB, we need the right winger,
But
for example.
I think it applies
Oh,
to
I
Man
can
U as
answer that
well.
question.
This doesn't just apply to Arsenal.
Yeah, I
I'm
know
just
what you're
talking
saying.
from my point of view.
Mm.
Now, Man United
I'm
fans
not
can
gonna
feel
say
the same way.
Chelsea,
You know what I mean?
Jem.
Because if you look at Arsenal, yes, we signed players. The same we signed Mari. Mari was out injured. Yes, you understand that. Said could sign, but are we signing the right players? That's for me being back. You can sign a free agent. You can sign 5 free agents. That doesn't mean you're getting back. Sign the right players and
But how
address
do
the
you know?
areas.
But how do you know they're the right players until they played? Because as
The
far as
right
Chelsea,
players,
I'm
the
sure
right
Chelsea,
players to
Come
me,
on, man.
it's obvious.
Do
You know
what's
what a
the
right player is.
Listen,
I'm sorry to butt in here. I'm sorry. I know Red
think-
Devils
I don't-
Studios is. Oh, sorry, Jem. Go on, bro.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think Arsenal is the best example to use when we talk about this topic. For me, the best example of a manager that hasn't been backed and has done well with a squad that he was given was Pochettino.
yeah, of
Pochettino
course.
was given a squad. He got the best out of the players that he had, the Dele Allis, the Kanes.
Yeah.
Each
Oh.
each year, that individual year that he went into, he was there for 3 seasons. Yeah, each individual year he went into, he never got any backing to improve the squad. All we got was a Philippe, was he named Janssen, to cover
Yeah.
Harry Kane when he was
Yeah,
injured.
but that's
Like,
when
the guy-
Levy pulled the
the guy
plug on
got
him.
left in. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, Danny. But he got left in the dark, bruv. Do you know what I mean? And he done quite a lot for that club. When you think about where he took them, with
Yeah,
that,
but
with them bunch of
Tottenham
players.
have a particular business model. Once they get to a particular threshold, they don't. They're like, well, we're not going to risk it for a biscuit. Like they just won't. They don't care.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
look at
yeah.
it financially. This is what we plan to spend for the next 3 years. We're in the top 4. Arsenal in decline. United are yo-yoing. Chelsea champions one season, want to dip out the top 4 the next. We're here. We're cool,
Yeah.
but we're not gonna spend 50 million than we like in the next 12 months than we plan to, just because we happen to be here. So their limitations is their model. The problem with Arsenal and Man United have a similar issue, not as bad as, but we were in a similar situation. The longer you go with bad recruiting, no matter how much money you spend, and you don't rectify the problems, your shopping list becomes longer and longer and longer. And
More
Arsenal shopping, I was saying this about United. Like, I'm looking at our midfield: beyond Paul Pogba, Matic, Fred, and McTominay. I can name players that play for Wolves that are better than those 3. I can name players for Leicester who are better than those 3.
Yeah, I agree.
You could debate some players from Everton,
Yeah.
not Claire. Before I even talk about Fabinho, before I even talk about, if Indiana would say Højbjerg's a better defensive midfielder than all 3 of those players. Before you even get to Fernandinho, past his prime, is better than those 3. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So when I look at the Arsenal squad, I'm like, you man are talking about who? Mari? Who's that? Who's that guy? Sabitzer, whatever his
They
name
always
is.
do this.
Who are these people?
They always
Like,
do.
and I'll elevate it. I'll go a step further for you. Backing a manager is when he gets a signing wrong, you go and back him again. Like Pep.
Yeah.
Pep
Yes.
can get a signing
Yeah,
wrong,
that's right.
and
Yeah,
they'll
you're
just
right.
go and do
Yes.
it again. Arsenal fucked up when they signed Mustafi. Within 18 months, it was clear he was not good enough, and they left him for every manager since to use him. Why?
Yeah, but you have to. But what I would say, an argument to them, is that you also have to provide evidence. So at least in a case of, for example, why I have sympathy for Arteta is like, okay, the dude delivered you an FA Cup, first trophy since Arsene Wenger. So based on the fact that he has managed to achieve something with the team that's inherited, you should be backing this manager and giving him what he needs, because it's evident that he can do something with the squad that he has. I don't think that it's like, so going back to the Chelsea situation, if Chelsea, despite having spent 200 million this season, and Lampard finishes 8th this season, knocked out all competitions, then it makes sense to go, oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely back him. Let's spend another 200 million and see what happens. That doesn't, for me, there has to be an element of, and the thing is as well is that depending on where the source of income comes, because obviously a lot of clubs now, let's be real, they're funded by multi-billionaires. the difference between like United and Arsenal is United and Arsenal with the way their funding structure comes. It comes from
We're
fans
self-sustainable.
ultimately. It's self-sustaining. It comes from fans. It comes from merchandising. It comes from global. It comes from all that sort of stuff. So I can understand why Arsenal fans, United fans do it, because fundamentally it's coming from the fans' money. Ultimately, it's coming from the fans' money.
Yeah, but United spend enough. We just don't spend it very well.
Spend it,
It's
no.
where
And
we
I can
spend
go a
it.
step
It is where
further.
we spend it.
Let me go a step further. Sorry.
No, I was
Fuck
just
back
saying.
in the manager.
Oh, go on.
Fuck back in the manager. How about you back the club I support? Right? Players outlast managers. How about you just sign the best players available for the club,
Yeah,
regardless of who the fucking manager is?
I'm just saying the point is that where the funding stream thing is important, because fundamentally, I know it's a simple concept, but like if the money belongs to Abramovich, if the money belongs to Abu Dhabi, and they decide we're not going to spend because ultimately it belongs to them. They can do whatever they want with their money. Ultimately,
I agree with that.
But with United and Arsenal, the money is coming from the fans directly. So I feel like they have more of a kind of like, hey, collectively, this is our money. We're buying your stuff. We're funding this whole thing. The millions of funds coming from the worldwide base. Why aren't you using the money that we have putting into the club to deliver the players? And I think that's why I think those fans have more of an argument in terms of where the money is and the importance of it. It's like Chelsea or City, when it's not their money. It's a billionaire's money. So he can do what he wants.
We're just these kids. We're spoiled kids. That's what we
Yeah,
are.
Chelsea fans are they're trust fund children, man.
Yeah,
honestly.
I had to tell Kai the other day. I had to tell him the other day that
they get on my nerves, Chelsea fans. They do. They wind me up. They're just spoiled. They expect everything like that. You spend money and it's yay, we're gonna win all the time. It doesn't work.
You're right, Jem. You're right, but that's the culture the owners created.
Yeah.
It is.
It's not like the culture with United fans. Like the culture with United fans isn't because of the Glazers. Like there's no connection between us and the Glazers. They have no impact on the culture of the fans. But with Abramovich, he enables you guys big time.
He did. And if we didn't have him, we wouldn't be where we are today. Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't have won what we've won today. So you can only go. I'll always back Abramovich.
There's another thought that popped into my head because Red Devil Studio was talking about certain players not playing these young players. You realise like Vieira and Henry left way back in 2005 and 6 or whenever it was. Yeah. Well, I think Vieira left in 06. Henry, I think 08, 09. I'm kind of head. Can't remember exactly. Why? Because Arsenal were doing this project with young players. How are we in 2020? And at the start of the summer, Arsenal fans on Twitter telling me about Gabriel and so I don't even know who the guy is. What's his name? What's his name, Kesh? Saliba. Like
Saliba.
Gabriel and Saliba, we got a centre-back partnership. Like, really?
It wasn't just that. It was, we beat Man United to Gabriel. Yeah. There's
nothing.
We won the FA Cup and Community Shield. We're developing a winning mentality.
It's party time.
The players are playing in triangles. I can see what Arteta wants to do.
Listen, you can make as much fun as you want, but in an ideal world, if they're provided what the guy needs, if you act like a big club, we'd have better results. Yes, I understand some fans are saying in hindsight, look at the way the league's going. Yes, we should be doing better. I do understand that. But should it be a club that's looking on hindsight? Should we be preparing for whatever situation it is in the league? We should be prepared for this. And we wasn't prepared for it. So when you see us failing, it's not a coincidence. The season that Leicester won it, we prepared for failure because we only signed Czech. You had a guy like Sanchez and Ozil who's there ready and raring to go. If you had given more than Czech that season, I believe we would have won the league.
I agree. Remind me, so did you sign Aubameyang the following January?
Say that again?
Did you sign Aubameyang the following January or the January after?
The January after.
Yeah.
Kesh, you've got the 11th best midfield in the league. Did you know that? 11th.
Shocking, I know. Shocking.
11th.
No,
but that's what I mean.
You're meant to be competing.
Kesh, do you remember when Arsenal played the best football in the country?
Yeah.
When Arsenal had the best technical players?
Nasri's,
when you were entertaining.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Arsenal fans weren't happy with the Koscielny Mertesacker partnership? You'd be happy with that right now. Tell you
Definitely would be happy with that right now. Without a doubt. Honestly. Like, it's a weird one, man. It's a weird one because
Ooh, Indiana's become
I
louder.
know we've gone on and we've conceded
Come
goals,
prime.
but you can actually see that he was trying to be a team that doesn't concede the usual goals that Arsenal will always concede, where you're just giving an opponent a goal rather than them working for it. And they was berating him for it, not really using their head to stand back a bit and actually assess what's going on. Like as I said earlier in the stream, Jose is doing the same thing that Arteta was doing. It's just that he's pulling off the results. Because why? He's got a firing Harry Kane and a firing Song. Banyan's not on fire. That's the only difference.
And a more
honestly.
balanced side, I would say.
But the more balanced side, more senior players rather than relying on the likes of Saka and now Smith Rowe's come in. Like it's Arsenal. We shouldn't be like you saw with the Newcastle game. Like these guys have held us to 3 victories. He's then giving them a rest, and the players that are meant to be senior figures, he's meant to come in now and say, you know what, we need to show the manager what we're about. No, he still had to bring them off the bench. He still had to bring the likes of Saka and Smith Rowe off the bench. For me, that is not good enough at Arsenal. And I see fans
So
are
should
saying,
we all just? Oh, sorry, go on.
I see fans are saying, but Saka and Smith Rowe are saving his job. I'm like, what? So you think they're just going out there and freestyling? Give the money. When he's doing poor, you lot are all berating him. And now he's got 3 victories. You're saying he's down to young. Come on, man.
Do you know where that came from, Kev? You know where that came from, right? That was birthed by certain United fans, the freestyle thing. So Arsenal fans are just running with it now because they hate Arteta.
Yeah.
Sheep. Just sheep following sheep. That's all it is. Just sheep following sheep.
Yeah.
Where are you guys in the table though compared to Tottenham? It's not a massive gap, is it?
Well, Arsenal are 3 points behind Chelsea, aren't they? So not that.
Yeah, Man United are 10 points clear of Chelsea.
13 of Arsenal. So
10.
No, it'll be 7 on Friday.
I'm getting banned by Arsenal fans on Twitter.
As I said, like there was a point in the season where I know Nico was saying we're not actually playing that bad. You're playing bad. We're playing bad, but I understand what he's trying to say. He's just saying
that was embarrassing.
Thing,
I thought he was
no,
get
it wasn't
fired.
embarrassing. But the only thing that was missing was that creative edge.
I've got a question.
Obviously, that's what fans are there for, to see we create chances to win games. But if you ain't got the player in that final third, like a Smith Rowe,
you did have
make that
player.
difference.
He was exiled.
Who was that?
The sporting.
Yeah, we understand that, but the season started and he's already been ruled out. He's already been ruled out, so you forget that.
Yeah, but
I'm not one of those people that dwell on those things. Like it's done. Like the situation can't be changed mid-season.
It shouldn't take a young player like that to have to make Arsenal tick. Like the problems are deeper. I've
very
said to you
deeper.
before. I think Arsenal are going to struggle to sign big players because of the wages and the fees they've paid other players. Like it's a long road for Arsenal. But I want to ask this question actually because I know Danny knows this answer straight off the bat.
Sorry guys, I've got to head off like in 2 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool.
Red Devil Studio, you go first.
Okay, Carstens. Is this the question? Question? Do you think we can? Yes. Is the question? Should we actually go from now in January? Absolutely. Let
me just add on to that.
Oh, go on.
If our first choice targets are not available, would you be looking at signing better players than we already have in those roles? If that makes sense, but they're not our first choice. So would you go for our third or fourth choice targets in January, being that we are top of the table?
No, I think I would go for our first choices in the summer. I know that seems controversial because I know a lot of United fans want to go for the title, but I also think that at the beginning of the season, I don't think anyone expected United to challenge for the title. So we're already progress-wise ahead of where we predicted to be right now anyway. So if we can obviously build on what has been a really good season next season, it's similar to what happened with remember when Liverpool were, I think, only finished a point behind City in the season before they won the league. There's potential that it might be similar to something like this now, where like we're close, we just end up missing out, and we just need to sign 1 or 2 players in the summer to actually outright win the title from next season. So that's why I would wait and get our first choices in the summer, in my opinion.
I agree.
I don't think that's controversial.
I've got a question. I've got a question for you, Man United fans, actually, and I hear that I hear it in obviously in the group a lot as well. Obviously, you're sitting top and you deserve it, and I think it's. I think if anyone deserves it more, it's Ollie, just because of the amount of criticism he's picked up for this this period. But in terms of the game against Liverpool, I've heard a lot of Man United fans saying that they can sit back now and put their feet up and relax because there's no pressure on you to actually win the game. If you draw, you lose, it doesn't really matter. But I don't get that. Because if you're top for a reason. Go and set the tone. Go and set the tone and show why you're there. Don't come out of an excuse. Oh, I don't. No. If we lose or we draw, it's cool. There's no pressure. Liverpool are the champions. They should win this game. Go out there and show them. Like, what I'm trying to get is, are you happy? Are you happy just to go to Anfield, draw or lose, and be happy about that? Cool.
I'm never happy with anything but a win over Liverpool. I don't care where we are in the
You've
table.
got expectations then to stay top, haven't you, Indiana? That's what I'm trying to say. You want to set the tone.
I have to be honest,
there,
Jem. I have to be honest, Jem. One, I'm a London-based Man United fan, so I hate Arsenal more than I hate Liverpool. Just keeping it real. When we were challenging, like when on the rivalries, because I grew up around Arsenal fans, they're the ones who were giving me that Henri's better than Van Nistelrooy for most of my bloody primary school and secondary years. So, like, you know what I mean? That's where my hate in my heart is really, really there.
You know why I don't like them as well, being London boy.
In the grand scheme of things, like, it's United usually go into big matches off the back of poor results against small teams. This time round, we're not in that situation. Whenever Man United have a big game, it's usually do or die. It's if you don't perform, like, Ollie's probably going to get sacked, or you're losing further ground for top four, or it's always like this scenario where can they pull it out? Can they pull it out? Can they pull out the win? This time round, it's actually, no, Liverpool, over to you. Let's see what you're made of. You are the defending champions. You've been in crap form.
Yeah.
Your defense is somewhat decimated. Can you pull out the victory? Because actually, a point for United is not a bad result. It's not a bad result.
No, it ain't. But Danny, what I'm trying to get is you're not.
But that mentality, Jem, that's just people protecting themselves.
You're not a Fulham.
No. But on top of that as well, Jem, you need to understand, when the times were good, we didn't win there often. Like, it's not like we've been going to Anfield throughout our history and been beating them there. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't happen. When I saw John O'Shea got that win at that time, I was like, couldn't believe it. John O'Shea of all people. Wayne Rooney never had a good game at Anfield.
That's right.
Cristiano Ronaldo never had a good game at Anfield.
Exactly.
Like, the history of the fix.
And vice versa. And I was just saying, and vice versa, because even as bad as we have been in the last 8 or so years, I can't remember the amount of times that, like, Liverpool have actually come to Old Trafford and won. I genuinely can't think of how many times they've actually come to Trafford and won. So that's another thing, because I know that whatever happens at Anfield, at Old Trafford, United will have the advantage, because even a United side with Phil Jones as a centre back still kept a clean sheet against Liverpool with Firmino, Salah, and Mane. You know what I mean? So I agree with you that like, I think a lot of it is just because of the fact that, one, we've not been in this situation for a while, and I think a lot of United fans don't want to have a lot of receipts going on Twitter, because we're realistic. We're like, no one expects United to go to Anfield and pop 3, 4, 5 goals past them.
Some do.
Alfie.
Some do.
Not on this show. This is called grounded football for a reason.
Listen, wherever that gas is, they need to be selling that gas in shops on Amazon Prime right now.
The thing is,
order that.
The thing is, though, is that, like, there's a certain team that Ollie could pick that I'd think actually is better than Liverpool's starting 11.
Well, this is what I was gonna.
Which team he picks, but
I'm glad you mentioned that, just because I was saying this to Diana. I don't know if I said this to Jen, but Indiana definitely. Basically, the reason why Arsenal beat us is because we played the occasion and the history of the fixture, not the team that we were just superior to. And as you said, we can put up a lineup. This will be the first time, man for man. Obviously, we know why, because of injuries, etc. You look at it and go, actually, you know what? 5 Man United players get into that Liverpool starting 11 today. So it's one thing for fans to do what Jem is doing, right, and protect themselves and try to play things down, blah blah blah. But Ollie can't do that. Ollie, for me, needs to pick a team that can go and win the game. He shouldn't play the history of the fixture. Ollie shouldn't treat Liverpool like they're the Liverpool of last season. even though they may be able to turn it on for a game. Treat them as they are. They're vulnerable. You need to you can't expect them to basically just be like, I'm vulnerable. Come, like take me. Like, no, you have to take it to them. You
This
can't
is
just
actually-
expect them to give you anything. You have to go and take it.
Yeah.
So if I see a back five, I'm immediately going to be anxious. I'm like, fuck, we've gone with a back five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to see that at all.
Yeah, so if we did that, we're like saying to Liverpool, come and beat us. It's like, nah, man, we need to go.
Yeah.
Like, just take it to them. Just take
This
it
is
to
all
them.
about
your
your
game.
mental
Yeah.
edge going into this game, innit?
It's a very good segue actually into the last section of the title race. Just want to quickly talk about that.
See you guys later, guys. So, guys, thanks for the show.
Sorry,
Yeah.
take it
Yeah.
easy.
See you guys
Take
later.
care.
See it.
So when it comes to the Man United Liverpool, we know the pressure's on Liverpool. They're the champions. We're 3 points above them. I expect them to come at Man United, and that plays into Man United's hands. That's what I expect to happen. But I also expect us to lose probably 2-0. That's what I expect because I know what this Man United side are. But I do know they will come at us. Nobody plays for a draw. This managers play for a draw nonsense is just not true. That doesn't happen.
No.
You might try and hold your back line or play really defensive and nick a goal to win the game, but you never play for a draw. I don't think Ollie's going to play for a draw. I can't see
No,
that.
I don't think he's going to play for a draw, but I think he may concede. So he's going to concede control to Liverpool. He's going to concede what's stuff. I can't find the right word. But I don't want to go into the game just immediately being on the back foot. I don't want that. And if we play with a back five, we're basically saying we're opening the door for them to just have a good 90 minutes. Like, don't get twisted. Liverpool can beat us on Sunday, and I still expect Liverpool to drop points in the next few matches afterwards. So I'm not convinced by them at all. So I don't think, but that's why a lot of Man United fans have the mentality they have, because this is not. We're 3 points clear at the top. This is not a do. It's not a do or die game. Usually when we go into these games, we're 7-8 points away from top four, and having to win the game just to stay in the top four race.
Yeah, I hear that.
That's what it is. It's because we're top of the league, and we know, and we actually know. Like, it sounds silly. Like, the sun will come up the next day if we lose to Liverpool, because we can just go again.
I think where the question is still lies for me with Man United under Ollie is the clutch games, because you seem to have a bit of a mental issue in tournaments more so, where you get yourself to, all right, semi-finals, and when you need to win the game and get the result, you ain't doing it. And I feel like with Liverpool, I feel like that is that kind of game. I feel like you should and go and win that game. You need to go and win that game. I think even if you lose that game, all right, you're on the same level of points as Liverpool, but then it just puts them back up on the whole rift of it. They could go on some great form after beating you guys and then just run off it. Do you know what I mean?
I think they will.
I think you could really damage them. I just think you could really damage them if you go and play your game and take it to them. And I agree with Danny. If you sit back, they will punish you. They're too good to just sit back and allow for 90 minutes and just sit there.
Can we just say Liverpool in decline have created more big chances than anyone else in the Premier League this season?
They will, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
That's why I don't want to concede. Give the I don't know why the word's escaping me. It's pissing me off. I'm so tired.
Same.
The initiative. That's the word I'm looking for.
Let's just have
you can't give it to them.
We've been going over an hour, and that's partly my fault because my StreamYard and me. But,
sorry to interrupt you, Leanne. I have to say, see that top here? Someone get you. Is that a Christmas present?
Not this year's Christmas present,
but a previous year.
A previous year, yeah.
Yeah, my wife got me the exact same jumper. Same patterns.
Did she?
I'm surprised you're wearing it, because I wouldn't wear mine on camera, mate. Honestly,
I'm not worried.
Do you know what? I got
it. That at work. I pretty much have that at work gear.
Do you know what happened? So opened it up at Christmas. Yeah, sorry to go off topic. And basically, my cousin saw it. He's like, "No, that top's all right." And I looked at my cousin, because we've got an uncle in it who dresses in the most boring way possible. And I'm like, "No, that's uncle's swag." And he looked at the top. He's like, "Yeah, no, you're right. You can't wear that. That's uncle's swag." And I've got a proper Nigerian uncle. This guy's clothes are just all of his jumpers are that in different colours.
No, I've only got it once in one colour. So yeah. and I'm wearing it.
You
Actually,
rock it well, mate.
I quite like it, to be fair.
You do rock it well. Can't lie.
I actually quite
You
like
do
it.
rock it well, bro. You rock it well.
Thanks for being polite. So let's get into the title race and where we are right now. Teams have been in and out of form. The drop off at the start of the season due to no preseason, I think a lot of it, and the rush back in. Do we expect the traditional top 6 to all pick up form, or do we think we're going to stay on that same path right now? United are going to stay where they are. Liverpool are going to keep declining. Chelsea are going to be outside the top 6. Arsenal are going to keep creeping up. What do we think? Let's start with.
Do you know what the mad thing is about that, bro? I don't think you can call it. I wouldn't want to bet anything right now because it's if
do you not think we've played enough games to be able to call it? You think it's still going to be that unpredictable?
No. Look, put it this way: Chelsea were 10 points off you, but only 6 points off Liverpool, and they're second. Like it's too unpredictable, and we're 9th. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, it's one of them ones where, and I said it earlier, it will all fall down to the teams that are consistent, and you've seen it with the Leicesters later on in seasons. They start off well and they slowly start to decline. Maybe the Evertons, we don't know yet. We don't know because they have been playing very well. But the only thing Everton have got, but I think that does help them, is a very good manager, a very, very good manager in Ancelotti. So they
on paper probably third or fourth best in the league. Yeah,
exactly, easily. You know, so yes, it's going to be tight, but I don't think you can call it. Man United could stay up there, or Man United could be 5th in the next 5 games or 6 games. You just don't know. It's hectic, bro. It's absolutely mental. So for me, I don't know. I just wouldn't call it, bro. That's the answer. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't call anything.
Kesh, what do you think? I'd actually like to get your opinion on it as an Arsenal fan.
What was the topic? I was talking to my brother
since you're on the outside of it.
Go on.
Yeah, we're saying about how have we played enough games this season to be able to predict where teams are likely to finish, the traditional top 6? Have we played enough? Can you call it yet? Do you think, for you, do you feel like Arsenal are going to keep building on what they've had? Is it 3 wins now? 3 or 4?
Yeah.
3 wins. Well, do you feel like they're going to keep building? Do you think Man United stay at the top? Liverpool going to keep declining? Chelsea going to be where they are? Or can they bounce back?
You know what? Yeah, going off the back of Man United's previous seasons, they're generally a team that normally kicks on after the Christmas anyway. So this is a period where they normally pick up their maximum points. So if, for instance, I believe Liverpool will drop more points. I don't know what games, but they will drop more points. But I do have a slight feeling that Man United and City will go on to be the most consistent teams over the rest of the season. And then what you're going to find is those 2 teams are going to run away, I think. I think Man United and City will run away with it. In terms of the rest of the following packs, I think Everton, they seem to be grinding out results. They're not playing the greatest, but they're getting the results. I feel what we're seeing now with Wolves, this is Wolves drop off. Wolves are dropping off now. In terms of the Leicester, I do feel Leicester will be up there in the top 4. I know a lot of people are writing them off, but I do feel they've got a better chance out of them and Tottenham. Arsenal, for me, it's going to be a rough one. I don't believe that we'll find consistency. I feel what you'll find with Arsenal is they'll go on a 2-game run, then they'll probably lose, draw. So we'll drop a lot more points come the end of the season. Like, don't let these 3 victories fool anyone. You know, like we're going to be relying on likes of Saka and Smith Rowe. You know what I mean? So unless we do go and get at least 2 players in, then I don't see us finishing anywhere higher than 8th.
Okay, cool. Danny,
what's up?
What's the title race? What's your thoughts on it?
Can I just say one thing though? Because imagine a season where Man United actually win the title ahead of their 2, well, they're your main rivals. Well, it should be. You know what I mean? That's madness.
It's possible.
Let me just put that out there.
It's possible.
Chelsea need to get top 4, man. That's what I'm going to say. They have to get
Lampard's done.
They have to get top 4.
The thing is, I don't think Lampard's done though, because
no, if he doesn't get top 4, he's finished.
He's done.
No, I'm saying I don't think he's done. What Lampard?
Do you mean this season?
No, we're simply saying if he doesn't get top 4, Ron will sack him.
He's done.
It's not a matter of opinion. We know Ron.
I feel Chelsea's going to go on a run though.
Jem is saying it's unpredictable. I don't think it is unpredictable. I think all of this is very predictable. It only seems unpredictable because when you're on social media all the time, people are constantly dragging your mind into the moment. Because Jem said it's unpredictable. No, it's not, Jem. You knew this would happen to Chelsea, and you're expecting an upturn. And guess what, Jem? You're right to expect an upturn because it's going to happen. And guess what, Jem? When you have your upturn, some of your rivals are going to have a downturn.
Yeah.
Was the Premier League created like 6 months ago? Do people not know the history of football? This is the problem. Social media drags you into the moment, and you just blow everything out of proportion. This is what happens. What I would say is this, though. I think after 20 games, it will be clear who's in a title race, a real title race, and who's in the top 4 race.
Yeah.
For the next, and it changes. See, this is what I find interesting. People will say City's in a title race, even though they're behind another game in hand, but Tottenham can't be. And they're saying that based on what City did last season. No, you're in the title race as long as you're in we're top. It's 36 points or whatever it is. If you're 6 points within us, you're in the title race. I don't care. If you can drop out of the title race after 23 games, you can drop out at 28 games, you can drop out at 31 games. It's all the same thing to me once you've played 17, 18 games in the league. So what I expect to happen, I think Kesh is 100% right. United's form is going to improve. We're not going to fall off. I don't think it was a different team last season. Daniel James, Lingard, Pereira, Mata started games every game for United last season. Those were our 4 main options beyond Rashford and Martial. It's a different team. We're not going to fall off. I think we're going to improve. I think Chelsea are going to improve. I think if Man United, for example, let's say if we take, of the next 15 points, right? Let's say we take 12. I can see Chelsea taking 14. It won't bring them right to the top.
But then you need other teams. I agree with what you're saying in terms of an uptrend. Yeah, I am expecting us to turn it around, but you need teams around you to also drop points as well. And
but they will, Jem. I don't know why people are convinced. At the start of the season, right? When I saw Tottenham, come on, imagine if United were 3-0 up against West Ham and lost and drew 3-3 within the last 10 minutes. You've never heard the end of it, yet people have gotten over that for Tottenham and can see the upside. I look at Chelsea at the start of the season, I knew your blip was going to come because you showed me it against Crystal Palace and other teams. But you also showed me when you're in your groove, you can spank them motherfuckers at the lower end of the table. And you're going to. You do realize on your current form, you will not finish 6th if it stays how it is. Do you expect that to happen? Of course you don't. Of course you don't. If you look at the bigger picture, it's going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. And by 25, 26 games, 3 teams will break away. I think it'll be Liverpool, Man United, and City will break away. I think United, with 10 games to go, so after 28 matches, there's no doubt we're in the top 4 for me. No doubt. After 28 matches.
I agree we're in the top 4.
It's that, because it changes. There's some years where Tottenham have been 4th for most of the season, had a crazy March, and in April people are Tottenham are in the title race. Then they lose 2 games. No, they're not.
I actually see the top 3 as City, United, Liverpool in that order.
I do as well. But I see us
Liverpool third.
I see us doing a Wenger-style title challenge, just maybe a little bit better, where February comes back around, Europa League comes. I think we'll survive the first 3 rounds in the Europa League, because for Wenger, it was the Champions League. Arsenal in the title race, play Bayern Munich, get spanked, then lose 2 games in the Premier League, year after year after year. I think we'll do something similar, but that will happen to us in March. Back end of March, that will happen to us. We'll drop off. City and Liverpool will duel it out to the end, but Man United will be secure. We ain't got to worry about having to win 10 matches in a row to secure top 4. That's what I think will happen.
I've got it for me. As a United fan, I've got to see our next. So I said last week it will be our next 4 games, and this window will change my mind. That's where I'll be with it. So
this window.
That's where I am with it. And it's not, Danny. It's not even just getting players in. It's like getting those players out, moving those players. Like it's moving forward. It's showing me that the board are backing Ollie. They're with him. They know he doesn't want those players. Like Fosu Mensah went today, so that tells me maybe we are going for a centre back in the summer.
No, that's not a hard one. He's been on loan for 3 years.
I know what you're saying.
He doesn't even play.
Listen,
I know.
sell
I
Phil
get
Jones, then come talk to me. Woodward. Yeah, Woodward cannot talk to me until he sells Phil Jones.
And Roll.
You love him, don't lie. Come on.
Yeah,
And Rojo as well.
I do love Phil, but
Rojo's been on holiday.
But they're not players that Ollie was ever going to play. Whereas Fosu Mensah, I could have seen him coming on the bench as backup for an injury.
I'll be honest, Indiana, he's one of those players for me. He's one of those players that Man United fans have gassed for just stop it.
Oh no, he was never going to be a starting player for Man United.
Oh, it's because he's a defensive midfielder. Like, shut up.
I don't think he's even backup quality.
You never watched.
No, I do think he's backup quality, but he was more likely to be on the bench than Phil Jones and Rojo. Is what I'm saying to you,
mate. He's a good athlete.
They're completely done. Those two, they are completely done.
Man, you got Tuanzebe. What about him? I thought he was the greatest youngster coming up that was going to be.
I think Ollie sees that he. But you know what it is? We can't carry anybody. We're not good enough to carry a young centre back who has to get over concentration problems, and that's all Tuanzebe's going to have to get over. That's all it is. And Ollie can obviously see, even in the games when he plays well, he has lapses that are obvious, and we're not good enough. We're not good enough, Jem. We can't have any passengers.
Team signings, Danny. It has to be those first 11 signings, and that's what I'm saying. We're not going to buy. We won't be buying a player to back up Lindelof. That's not what's going to happen.
No, Lindelof has to become backup.
Yes, that's
Which
exactly what I'm saying.
By the way,
that's what I'm saying. So
have you? Tell me, Indiana, you've noticed, right? Whenever Ollie gets an opportunity to play Bailly ahead of Lindelof, he does it. Like, as long as Bailly proves he can stay fit, Ollie always plays him over him. Ollie knows Bailly's better than Lindelof. He knows.
Of course he is. Of course he is. You've got Maguire's got no pace at all, and Bailly's not only lightning quick. The guy is solid. Like, he's not backing down from anyone. He's very good on the ball. He carries the ball out very well.
Well, quicker.
He just can't. Quicker, but he's not fit. And what I question, how fit he can stay. Like, how many games can he play in a row?
And that's why
not many.
Not many.
But they will know that, and that's why I'm saying I can see us going in for a centre back in the summer, because that's got to be. We've had this discussion before. You've got to start with the foundations, like the defence. I think that's where it's got to be. That's where we've got to go next.
This is what bothers me, though, Indiana. Do you know what bothers me? If we'd got, again, I never expected a DM, but if we got Sancho on a centre back, I'd say we win the league from the position we're in right now.
Yes.
Honestly,
honestly. What happens, right? If you go through this season, say you get to February, beginning of February, and Bruno's out for 2 months. What happens? Do you still think you're challenged, or do you think that's it? I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand. Do you still believe that you can compete with the City and Liverpool without Bruno for 2 months, or is Bruno that important? Is he that important right now?
I think Van der Beek is actually not. The difference between him and Bruno is not as big as people may think it is. They're just different type of attacking midfielders. Yeah. I think Van der Beek would step up, if I'm being honest, Jem.
You think you'd still put in consistent performances and win games the way you have been if Bruno wasn't in the team?
Yeah, because the only way.
Bruno's level.
Well, put it this way, Jem. If Martial doesn't step up, we ain't doing shit.
Yeah, fucking he ain't stepping up, is he? He's so inconsistent, that guy.
Or Cavani has to. Look, I expect if Pogba keeps it depends actually, Jem. You know, let me change my answer. If Rashford, Cavani, and Pogba are playing well, then if Bruno gets injured, then Van der Beek, because others are playing well, I think can make an impact. If those
Who
guys
takes
aren't
Bruno's
playing well,
position? Who comes in for Bruno? Like, would it be
Van der Beek.
Would you play Pogba? Would you not play Pogba there?
No.
Why? Why though?
Because if you mark Pogba out of the game, his movement isn't intelligent enough to free himself up. He'll basically just come deep and get tracked easy and do long balls. That's literally what he'll do. That's what he did when Ollie was interim manager. You know what's funny, Jem? So you have these Ollie outers who are Pogba FC. They'll say, I don't understand why he stopped playing him as a 10. And it's like, did you not watch the games as a 10 where we lost and he was crap?
Yeah,
that's why
it's not
Ollie
his
stopped playing
role.
him as a 10.
That's not.
I just
It
thought
doesn't
him with
suit him at
freedom would work. That's all I thought.
Yeah,
rather than
coming
him
from
having
deep,
to sit back.
coming from deep, you want him to carry the ball through the midfield,
Yes.
or pick those passes from.
You don't want him facing
further
your
back.
central midfielders.
No, you don't. No,
Right,
not
yeah.
Or trying to play on
That's not
or
his game.
open his body up, trying to receive the ball on a half turn in a 10 roll. Like, nah. No.
Yeah, no, I agree. What about just quickly before we wrap up? I want a little word on Arsenal, and no, because the reason I want to say this is because we were all bantering like about to get relegated, and hopefully they'll sign Big
still
Sam.
might. Never know.
Yeah, they still might. But Arsenal,
his peak.
is Arteta finally figuring out a system with these players, or figuring out players who complement each other? For instance, like I've seen games where Xhaka has been holding onto the ball because nobody runs in front of him.
I think
That's definitely the same jumper.
what you're finding
is.
is
I don't even know what
Sorry,
it is.
sorry.
I think it's a super dry jumper. Actually,
Yo, bro, it's the exact same jumper.
Is it the same jumper?
It's the same pattern.
Right,
I don't have that label. Actually, do I have that? I'll have to go get it. I'm gonna have to go get it.
Check it.
Sorry.
no, I think what you're finding is he's slowly learning the basics. That's what it is. He's learning and he's picking up on things that's helping him out. Like
He's got to get it, and
I think what you've seen is when Tierney and Saka plays over that side, they take up each other's space. So now Saka's over that side now. Tierney's just roaming over there. Tierney's basically playing as a fullback and a wing at the same time. So I think it's just little things like that, little details to the system you want to play. It's making a difference now. And like as a Arsenal fan, as I said, I've always said he's never been my first choice, but because listen, as you said, it's grounded football. I kept myself grounded and I recognize that he's a rookie. Yeah. He's going to make mistakes. His man management is going to be poor. And I understand what people are saying, that it's Arsenal Football Club. We shouldn't allow a manager.
It's close. It's very.
What are we saying?
Yeah, it's close.
It is close. It is close.
Sorry,
guys.
It's a bit more Christmas jumpery.
Yeah, it was distracting me. I'm sorry, man. It was just, I was like, I'm sure
I like it though.
That's the exact same jumper, man.
It's not a horrible jumper. I don't know what you're talking about.
You've made it grow on me. I'm like, if Indiana can rock that,
then anyone can.
Oh my god! It's the way you said it. He's trying to talk about Arsenal. And you're like, yeah, that's that jumper.
Sorry, Cash.
Sorry, Cash. I'm sorry, man.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, like, he's just there's little things that he's like. No, as I said, he's a rookie manager. He's always gonna come in and make mistakes, but I feel he's got the fundamentals of a coach that can, when he gets his own players in, he will bring them to a certain level. Like, say, for instance, what Poch done when he went into Tottenham. And let's face it, that's what Arsenal need. Like, if we're not going to get money from our own or anything, we need to look at replicating the same thing that Liverpool done with Coutinho. Because we can't constantly spend, like, say, a City and things like 70 million on Pepe. Like, you won't see that in probably the next 3 years from Arsenal, because they've got it wrong now. Now they're suffering from PTSD from it. You know what I mean? They're just not going to do it anymore.
I've got something for you, and you're not going to like it, what I'm about to say. And it's not because I'm being saucy as a Chelsea fan, but I honestly don't think Arsenal have the pulling power anymore. I don't think they can go and get the players. Yeah, they got Thomas Partey. Fair enough. I think there's more to the story than that. If you want my honest opinion,
same.
But I don't think you have got the pulling power. I don't think you can go and get these guys.
I agree. I disagree.
No, Kesh, I think you've killed any pulling power you had left. I think you killed it by buying those players.
Who's going to want to play for these
Hold on.
guys? What's your module? Do you know what I mean? Like, who's going to want to come in when you haven't won?
Listen, the module was there.
Danny, drink water.
So you get quality players, you just got to go and put the money down. Let's face it. It's all about putting the money down. I've watched Fabrizio Romano, and I don't see why he would have any reason to lie. He says he speaks to agents and players all the time that talks about Arsenal, and they still see Arsenal as a big football club. There's no reason for him to come out and lie about something like that. He's not getting any benefit from it. So, listen,
it's also guaranteed.
You know what? I've got to back Kesh up on this.
It's Arsenal Football Club, bro.
It's a big club, but it is also guaranteed first team football with a big wage.
Exactly, and a big wage.
What I'm saying to you is like if you had a number 10, if you had a number 10 that was so Arsenal were looking for a number 10.
Yeah.
Any number 10 knows they're guaranteed to start for Arsenal. Also, they know they're going to more than likely be on pretty good wages because Arsenal were desperate. So it's like, are they going there to play? Are they going there for the money?
But I feel that that's just natural in this era of the game. I don't think there's any
I disagree because I think if
I don't believe there's any
like
footballer.
Grealish,
that's
yeah.
Very
Do you know
different.
what it? No, Indiana. I've got to back Kesh up on this because again, we look at this as elitist, right? Because of the teams that we support. Don't get it twisted. A guy will go to Leicester, not even Leicester. A guy will go to, let's say a Leicester over the equivalent in Spain because he's going to earn 30 grand more. Like it's across the board. That's just football. The problem Arsenal have, and this is why I don't really think it's a valid criticism to Arsenal. They've never had that model of signing the best players. So when you've never had that model, and let's keep it real, when Arsenal were thinking of building that stadium and the finances it would bring them, they didn't see Chelsea coming. They didn't see Abramovich coming. They didn't see City coming. So by the time they were ready to spend, football moved on financially. It moved on. And that's when they doubled down on their youth policy. That's what shocks me. So what the bigger problem, Indiana, for me with Arsenal is this. Why are Arsenal no longer recruiting the best young technical players?
Exactly. Because
that
you know
was
what
their
that is,
profile before.
Danny, you know what that is?
They're not even doing that, Indiana.
It's our fans.
Yeah, no,
I said it in the preseason build-up before the season kicked off. I said Arsenal fans need to realise this is not going to be a quick fit, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't agree with Bamian getting a new deal, because unless you're going to go and bring 5-6 players in who are ready-made and say, Bamian, you're in your last 3 years, now we're going to win, there was no point in giving a Bamian that contract, because what you're doing is you just prevented the inevitable. He's just going to see out those 3 years, and we're not going to win anything anyway, anything major. So what was the point in the first place? Now you bring in Partey, and I see the same thing with Partey. Partey's what, 27? You brought him in.
Yeah,
But
he's 27.
You're not planning to make immediate what's it called? You're not trying to hit the nail on the head and say we're going to go challenge with the big boys of the league. But
they've bought a player in his prime though, so that's a player.
Yeah, but they got a player on his prime that was available on a release clause and had no competition for the player.
And listen, you didn't bring in more players around him. Partey is not the final piece of this puzzle.
Of course not.
Obviously, if you look at Man United, cool. They had Pogba, they had quality there. They had a guy in Rashford. They just needed a few more pieces. But what you've got from a Bruno now, he comes in and that midfield just looks. It's a different level. Apart from a DM, that midfield is perfect. Apart from a Bruno and a DM, that midfield is perfect. If you're bringing in Partey now, you should have gone and got him an hour as well, which is what he wanted.
Do you know what you did? Sorry, you literally just upgraded you already had defensive midfielders. You just got a better one.
That's what they've done.
You just got better at defensive.
Yeah,
that's what they've done.
Listen, we'll maybe we should pick this up next week because we've been going for an hour and a half.
Can I just say I'm more optimistic than Kesh? I had Arsenal finishing 7th, not 8th.
Yeah, I had you down as
I
eighth.
had them
Yeah.
in 7th as
Okay.
well. Actually, to be fair, I had them in
I
7th.
So there's
I
hope,
don't-
Cash. There's hope.
I could
don't-
just see there was progress coming this season.
unless
So, yeah.
unless they bring in someone who can share that position with a Smith Rowe in a Buendia, I don't
Yeah.
feel it can happen. Because what you have to remember, Smith Rowe is young, so he's been getting injuries, but it's not bad injuries. It's more to do with like growing and things. He's a young boy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not gonna go through the rest of the season without having a niggle here and there. So what you need is someone who's gonna link that play. Like you saw against Newcastle.
It's competition
If
for
you-
places, Cash.
If you, yeah, but
Every team needs. Man
if you
United needs that.
compare the last three
Chelsea
league
have
games,
got it.
the last three league games to when we played Newcastle, it went straight back to the previous 2 months of us not winning. You see
Yeah.
what was missing. It's that person who's gonna be
Yeah.
in the final third and trying to be a danger. That's the spearhead for the rest of the team. When you've
Yeah.
got Shaka and El Neni in there, for instance, or was Willett that started, them two got lack of ideas. So if you ain't got someone there to knit it from them two up to the forward players, it's not going to work. Fair enough if you add, we could probably get away with a Shaka and a Pogba in there, because Pogba's going to be that creative edge. Without a number 10 in there, you're still going to get a few chances there and there. But when there's no one like Smith Rowe, it all goes to pieces, mate. I'm telling you.
It doesn't help that Pepe flopped as well.
It does not help.
True.
at all.
I'm sure
Does
we'll
not
touch on Arsenal again because Arsenal's quite. It's still one of the
Lots to talk about when it
traditional
comes to
top
us.
6, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to
I love
Arsenal.
talking Arsenal
But,
anytime.
So do I. It's fun.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like, share it. Everybody else who's been on the panel today, all their links are in the description below. Their channels, their Twitters or Instagrams, they're all in there. So after the stream, go down, click them, go and follow them, go and subscribe to their channels, please, because there's some great content from all the people that come on this channel. And next week we'll be back. I think everyone will be in, and we'll actually why don't you give us some subjects? That'd be quite cool if we had some real talking points from you. And next time hopefully we can get into more of your comments. That's completely my fault, but thanks for tuning in, and thanks for everyone for coming on.
No worries.